Hello, everybody. Hello, you're coming in now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so sorry. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so sorry. I started the wrong meeting, so I've been talking to a room of nobody for 5 minutes. So apologize for that. But the good news is I have everything set up and ready, and I always do better on my second take. So you'll get the best version of what I have to say. Cool, lots of people jumping in. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Glad to have you. All right, I'm just going to share my screen. All right, so you should see my slides now. Because we're 5 minutes after, because I was on the wrong video call. Sorry, again. I'm just going to jump in and we'll get going so I can honor all of your time. All right. So we've got, I hear some background noise. I'm just going to go through and make sure that everybody is muted. Oh, hey, Julie. I'm gonna mute you for now. I'll unmute you in a little bit. All right, cool. So here's what I want to talk about today. I'm just gonna go over some of the high level stuff of what's been going on, kind of the story of the grant, catch you up on that stuff. Some cool things are going on with the grant. It's really exciting. Before that, welcome. Good morning. So glad to have you all here. This is so fun. I know all of you. You all know me. Yeah, it's great to be, this is the first webinar for the IMLS grant. If you don't remember, there were 350 libraries that applied for 50 spots, super competitive. You are a part of the very first cohort. You've already started your code clubs or are starting shortly and doing amazing work. We've got the second cohort that's gonna start in January, or somewhere between January and April. So we're looking forward to that, but you are the very first, the bold, the brave. I just watched the speech for Shakespeare's Henry V, St. Crispin's Day. I don't know if you guys have seen that or read that, but it's very inspiring. It's like on the level of Braveheart. So I'm all like hyped up now and ready to go. So yeah, you guys are doing amazing work, and I'm just glad to be here with you for a little bit this morning. So after I kind of talk about the grant story, I'm going to pass it over to Julie from Jaffrey, and she's going to share some of their stories. She's part of the cohort. She's been doing amazing work, and I just want her to share a little bit of her story, some of her big takeaways of what she's learned so far. And then after that, I've got some content that we'll go through, just some refresher stuff, nothing crazy, nothing too long. And then we're going to have Q&A time at the end. So I really want to give plenty of time and space for questions and answers. And so as we go, feel free to start dropping in questions to the chat bar now, and I'll get to those at the end. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and jump in. The story. We have 20 libraries in this first cohort, 20 libraries that have started between September 6th and November 13th. We had a library just start on Tuesday. So Laura from Washington Courthouse Carnegie Public Library kicked it off. She was our very first one on September 6th. I don't think anybody was before her. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think she was the first. And then we had Nathan from Coalinga start on Tuesday. So all the rest of you started somewhere in between that, but 20 libraries starting in just a couple months span. That's amazing. So far, we have 311 kids, 311 kids that have come to at least a single code club. That's 311 kids who wouldn't have had access, wouldn't have had the ability to be exposed to computer programming education unless you, brave souls, ran a code club at your library. So that's amazing, 311 kids. And then our cumulative attendance is 683 in just a couple months. That's kids who have come week after week, total attendance from each code club. 683 attendance. Amazing. That's just so cool. Cool statistics to see, okay? So we can get excited about it. We can celebrate that. That is something to be proud of. You guys are doing amazing work all around the country. Speaking of all around the country, we have a map. Big thanks to Eric. Eric, I see you're on the call. Big thanks to Eric. Yeah, Eric put together this map, all those little blue dots, those are you. Sorry, in the screenshot, I cut off Soldotna, Alaska. You are there, but I couldn't get it in the screenshot and still have it be discernible what this thing was. So yeah, if you want the link to this map is really good. A lot of people have used it to share out, to include to library boards, friends of the library, state library people. This is just a cool visualization of what's happening in the grant. The link for this is on our Facebook page, the IMLS Facebook page. So if you want the link for this, feel free to snag it there. If somebody has that link pulled up and wants to drop it in the chat bar so everybody else has access, feel free to do that as we go as well. All right, next we have a resource page. We've always had a lot of resources, and they're on support.prenda.co, but I made this startup packet where I put all the stuff you need just for starting a code club on a single page. And I've created a lot of new stuff too. Julie inspired me with some of the stuff that she made. Others of you inspired me with questions and things that you were making. And so I kind of made a bunch of new resources, put it all on this page. And the URL for that is support.prenda.co/code-club-startup-packet. Okay, so check that out. There's some really cool stuff there. And then lastly, we have a hashtag. Woo woo! Come on, yeah, hashtag. Hashtag librarycodeclub. I don't know what this hashtag thing is, but apparently it's a thing. So I'm just kidding. I know what hashtags are. I didn't come up with this. This was a total community effort, which I loved. Some people hopped on Facebook and were like, hey, what's the hashtag? And I was like, I don't know, you tell me. So there's some discussion, and this is what we came up with, Library Code Club. If you're going to share stuff out on social media, tag it with this, and I guess people can find all of our stuff. I don't really know how that works, but it's useful. Trust me, there is a purpose for it, and it's very helpful. All right. So that's just a quick update on what's going on in grant world and IMLS grant world. Lots of really cool things. Now I want to hand it over to Julie, and Julie's going to share a little bit of her story. And Julie, do a little sound check for me. I think you're unmuted. Let's see if we can. Yeah, I got you.
Check.
All right.
With our fancy microphone.
You're so cool with a microphone.
So I want to first introduce, this is Andrea. Hello. Andrea is our youth services librarian, and we are really partners in crime in everything that we do. So we're sort of a team code club. We're a code club team, and I say, and it's not even just Andrea, because we try to bring in as many staff people as we can so that everyone gets to experience all the joy that is Code Club, and these kids get to know that they can approach all of us at the library, not just in Code Club at other times. So, but really everything we've done here is really the two of us. So as much as it's great to see my name in lights, but I want to share the credit. So thanks for including us today. I'm not sure that our story is really any different from anybody else's, but I'm probably really vocal about it, so I think I got lots of Luke's attention that way. So we use a lot of social media, and so I've actually been the one really looking for more community in this group to be able to talk about what we're doing, so I really appreciate this opportunity. Right now we have 29 active coders in our group. Now, that said, we have Code Club every single week for an hour and a half, but we average really between 8 and 12 at any given Code Club. So not everybody comes every week. Just because of schedules, soccer's going on, whatever it is. So they really enjoy that freedom, but to not have to come every week, and to sort of pop in and say, oh, I couldn't come this week, I was sick, but I did all these things at home. Can I show you what I did? And that's been really positive. But one of the things I want to share with you, which I don't even know because I haven't looked at, you can hold it up there. This is I actually posted this on the Facebook page at our first Code Club, and we use this all the time because new people come all the time. You have someone new almost every week who heard about it, who wants to join, is we have this handout that lets them know how to sign up right away. And that has been really critical in terms of staff time and staff engagement, because what we're finding is as the kids are progressing, they either need more help or just want to show you what they're doing. So we're finding it really critical to have 2 people in Code Club, 2 adults, for that 8 to 12. Pretty much once you hit more than 6 kids, we need a second person in the room, whether it's a teen helper or another adult, where as much to just sort of keep that engagement going of, oh, look, I solved this bug and I've got this going on, and everyone's really excited to share, but also they sometimes just need a little help. So these handouts were really important. So definitely 2 people. And we have a couple of other tips to share. I'll be quick, is that we're using our public, our main computer room, which is normally used for adults. It's our quiet computer space. We're supplementing those desktops with Chromebooks. And we have some other computers in another part of the library for adults. But what first started out as a negative in my mind, that we were using this public space, has turned into a positive, because we hang up streamers in the door that says Code Club in progress, and we've had people who didn't really know what was going on sort of see it and stumble across it. And then we have the Coder of the Week hooked up to the big screen TV. And that's really drawn people in. Even adults from the public are like, what are you doing? This is like really cool. This is amazing. And so those are just some of the key things that have been going on here. And I just hope that we can all, as librarians, interact more on the Facebook page or whatever other medium we decide, to really share more about what really has worked and not worked. Because if I could say one thing, having that handout that you can just give kids to get them started has been super critical to make it easy to even bring someone new in. And they are all vying for who is Coder of the Week and can be hooked to the big screen. So if
half an hour early and
yeah, so anyway, so I don't know if anyone has any questions or if there's anything more that you wanted me to share, Luke.
No, that was amazing. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to drop those in. Yeah, I see one coming in. Laura is asking, how do you determine Coder of the Week?
Okay, so a lot of that has to do with just they asked. We did the first one, was just kind of a lark. It was like the person who was there first. I was trying out this whole big screen TV idea, and I said, oh, do you want to be Coder of the Week? And then everything you do, everyone will see, and we can all share real easily. And that kind of took off and just became the vied for position. And as we say, now it's just a question of the key is that you haven't been Coder of the Week yet, so that everyone gets a turn before we start to repeat. So it's not that you're the best coder or the newest coder or the oldest coder. It really is, it's organic. But it is starting to turn into the kids showing up a half an hour early. Can I be Coder of the Week? And so if they're there first, they get the spot.
Yeah.
So, unless they were last week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I just pulled up a picture here. All of these pictures in the background are from the Jaffrey Code Club. So this is the big screen that they're talking about, and this is what it looks like to have the coder hooked up to it, right?
And by the way, that big screen was donated to us by Walmart. So if you have a Walmart near you, yes, for a program, Andrea wrote them a little pitch for a different program than this, and they gave us that TV. So if you have a Walmart, don't be afraid to beg.
Awesome. Yeah. Veronica says, I've been using the instruction sheet and it's been very helpful. Thank you. So Great. Yeah, that's awesome. I actually remade that same instruction sheet and it's on that support website. So that was all you, Julie, Andrea. So yeah, thanks for doing that. Yeah, feel free to drop questions in for Julie and Andrea as we go. We can circle back to those later. Nancy just asked, is the instruction sheet on the Facebook page? It is. It is there. At least a screenshot of it or a picture of it. But there's like a downloadable one on the support.prenda.co on, where is that? Here. There's a downloadable one there that you can get. All right, well, let's keep going. Remember, there's going to be Q&A at the end, so feel free to drop those questions in anytime, and we'll get to those at the end, all right? So I just had some quick content I wanted to go over, and just as a means of refreshing you and maybe inspiring you afresh in your Code Club journey, okay? I've been saying this phrase a lot lately. The two greatest predictors of a Code Club success are, number one, you as the facilitator, and specifically, are you cheerleading, mentoring, and facilitating? Okay, so that's number one. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And then number two, the second greatest predictor of whether a Code Club succeeds or not is it social? I'll talk more about that in a moment also. So first, this idea of, gotta move some stuff around. This idea of you, the greatest predictor of whether a Code Club succeeds or not is whether you can be an effective cheerleader, mentor, and facilitator, right? You remember this from the training. You remember this slide from the training material. Cheerleaders, these are the ones who create the enthusiastic, fun environment for Code Club to happen. You're the ones that are there saying, hey, so good to have you, welcome. And not everybody's going to be perky like that. Not everybody's going to have quite that level of enthusiasm, but in your own way, everybody has the ability to be a cheerleader. Everybody has the ability to create that positive environment in whatever fits your personality, in whatever way works for you. So are you a cheerleader? Are you encouraging people? Are you a mentor? When people are frustrated and they want to give up, are you encouraging them to stick with it? Are you saying things like, you got this, I believe in you, work on it just a couple more minutes, that kind of thing. And then lastly, are you a facilitator? When people are stuck, when they're not sure what to do, are you saying things like, try reading the instructions again, go work with a friend, let's try Googling it together, stuff like that, pointing them in the right direction. If you can do these three things, what I've started to say in my training sessions is that if you can do this, there's a good chance your Code Club is going to succeed. There's a good chance that your Code Club is going to have the main things it needs for it to be a success. And so I really want to just remind you of that today. Cheerlead, mentor, and facilitate. The crazy thing is you don't need to know how to code to do any of this, right? You don't need to know how to code to be a cheerleader, a mentor, or a facilitator. So next time you walk into your Code Club, if you remember one thing only, I want you to think to yourself, okay, I just need to cheerlead today. I just need to create that really positive environment and see what happens in your Code Club, okay? I think it's gonna make a pretty dramatic difference for you. Now, I'm sure all of you are doing this already, but so just as a refresher, okay? Just as a reminder. And then secondly, the second greatest predictor of whether a Code Club succeeds or not is it fun? Is it social? Are the kids engaging? Are they forming friendships, right? Are they working on things together? Are they solving problems together? The more social it is, the more human connection that the kids have, the better your Code Club is going to be, right? Because if they're forming friendships, they're going to come back week after week and they're going to progress and advance through the software. And the software, as they learn how to code, is going to change their lives because it's going to give them job opportunities and life skills, all that stuff that we've talked about time and time again. Making it fun is going to help that happen in a really significant way. Here's a couple ideas about how to make it fun. I've talked about all of these before. Icebreakers. Icebreakers, I am beginning to really believe in more and more and more. Do an icebreaker every week for the first couple months. Now, some of you are already a couple months in. If you haven't been doing icebreakers, start. Icebreakers go a long way to help kids know what kind of environment it is, what kind of culture Code Club is. If you start doing icebreakers, they're going to say, oh, this is a place where I can make friends. Oh, this is a place where it's actually fun to be here. If you need help with icebreakers, I've got a running Google Doc on that support website that's got like 60 ideas for icebreakers right now. And some of you helped contribute ideas to that. Thank you. So check that out. The link is on, it's on that support.printed.co website. So yeah, icebreakers go a long way. Oh, one thing about icebreakers that I've been getting a lot of feedback from you guys on is people say it works better if you actually stop halfway through your Code Club and do an icebreaker at that point instead of doing it at the very beginning. That's because kids come in at different times, they filter in, some kids are late, some kids are early, but if you stop halfway through and do an icebreaker at that point, chances are most kids will be there at that point and everybody gets to do it together. So that's an idea. If your code club is an hour long, stop at 30-minute mark, do a 10-minute icebreaker. Get away from your computers. It doesn't have to be anything tech related. I mean, it can be if you want to, but it doesn't have to be. And then you can go back to coding and finish out your session that way, okay? Another idea, if I've got a particularly quiet group, then I'll put some music on in the background. You know, I've got my laptop there. I'll pull up something I think they'll like, and I'll just put some music on it. And that breaks the tension. It lets them know that they can make noise, that this is a place where they're allowed to talk, and they don't have to worry about that so much. So that helps a lot also. Another way to make it fun is this idea of a showcase event. For those of you that started this fall, maybe earlier in the fall, it would be awesome to take your last code club before you break for Christmas and do a showcase event. You know, start telling the kids now, hey, we're going to do a showcase event last code club before Christmas. Anybody who has a project ready to show, you're going to get to pull it up on the big screen or on the projector and show it off to your friends and your family and maybe the library directors or maybe even local media or politicians might want to come to that. So those are some really good ways to make it fun. It's kind of the equivalent to like an orchestra concert, but for Code Club. So yeah, if you need more help on that, I've got a PDF called How to Organize a Showcase Event on that support.funded.co website. Check that out. And then lastly, how to make it fun. So this is something I've just started doing kind of spontaneously, and I thought I would share it with you guys. I've been doing it in my Code Club. If I see that somebody's like working on something, like that first Scratch thing is a great example, you know, where they were creating the Scratch game and they have the villain and the hero. The kids will choose whatever theme they want. Sometimes they'll do like a Pokemon theme for their game. And then I see that that's what they're doing, and I'll just make an announcement to the whole room. Once they're done, I'll say, hey, who likes Pokemon? Who wants to come see this cool Pokemon game? And all the kids like Pokemon, so they all come huddle around and look at it, and they're like laughing at it. They're like, oh, that was awesome. That was so cool. And then the kid who just made it feels awesome because they're getting all this attention. And then the other kids just had fun because they got to get up out of their chair. So I do that, I try to do that like 5 times a Code Club session. Whatever I think is interesting, whatever the kids are working on, I try to pull them up all out of their seats, whoever's interested, and come huddle around and look at somebody else's screen. So that's just another idea how to make this more like interactive, set the culture that Code Club is a fun thing. Okay? The last thing I want to talk about is this idea of how do I keep the kids progressing. I made a short video about this a couple of weeks ago. I put it on the Facebook page. If you didn't see it, though, this is just a recap of what I said in that. So I've got a lot of feedback, like, how do I keep the kids moving on through the software, right? Like somebody said a particular kid is just getting stuck changing the sounds on a Scratch character. Like they've been doing that for weeks and weeks, just changing the sounds over and over. And that's, you know, whatever. But the question was, how do I get them to like try something new? How do I get them to move on and actually like explore something else in Scratch or maybe HTML or whatever? So here are my thoughts on that question. Number 1, chill out just a little bit. I mean, I don't say that. I don't want to be rude in saying that, but the whole idea of Code Club is that the kids get to go at their own pace and they get to choose what they work on, right? So if they're having fun and they're engaged and they're working on some type of coding thing and they're just not moving on, then maybe they're not ready to. It's kind of a Montessori idea, like Montessori light, I would say, idea for Code Club, where they are going to move on when they're ready. They have all of the resources they need there in the room. They've got you, the encouraging adult. They've got their peers. They've got the software. They've got all of the resources they need so that when they're ready to move on, they can and they will. Now, I say that a little like tongue-in-cheek because I know there's a balance to this, okay? So some kids, at some point, yes, we need them to move on. We really want them to move on and tackle harder things. So there's kind of a balance act to play with this idea. And again, this is assuming that they're actually working on something coding related. It's a totally different question if they're just like playing games or goofing off the whole time. That's a different topic altogether. So the balance act here is, yes, be okay with them like taking a lot of time on something that you think that is simple or that they should be moving on. Allow them to kind of sit in that space for a while. And then at some point, we want to encourage them to begin moving on and trying more difficult things. And how do we encourage them to do that? A couple ways that I found work really well are, number one, is show and tell. Basically that showcase idea. You could do something real informally, just like 20 minutes at the end of a particular session. Say, hey, who wants to show off a project they've been working on? Let somebody pull it up on the big screen. And when that kid who hasn't moved on sees their peer get to plug in their computer to a projector and they get to see this cool thing that their peer made, that could be really inspiring to them, where they're like, oh, that's awesome. I want to start working on something like that. So that could be the push that they need to continue on and start trying something more difficult. Additionally, another good idea is to pair that particular kid off with somebody who is a little bit further ahead. Pair them off for just a single session. Say, hey, today you two are going to work together and try to do this something. Try to make a game in Scratch, or try to make an animation in Scratch, or something like that. And that process of having the kid who's kind of burnt out and spinning their wheels with somebody who's a little bit further ahead and pairing them together, that can also help break this kid out of that mold and get him to move on and try something new. So those are a couple ideas there. And then I've got 2 2s here. That should be a 3. Whew, so embarrassing. So number 3, understand what. The big question is why? Why haven't they moved on? And maybe you can just have a conversation with this kid. And maybe what happened is they tried to, like they were doing sounds in Scratch and they figured that out and they felt really accomplished because they got that. And then they tried to go on and do something more difficult, and it was too hard, and they got discouraged, and they got scared of moving on. And so they were like, I'm just going to go back and do this easier thing. Well, once you know what caused them to give up, then you can work with that. Then you can like kick into cheerleader, mentor, facilitator mode and say, oh, well, let's go do this thing together. And you can cheer them on, you can mentor them. And through that process, you can help them overcome that initial obstacle so that they move on, so that they feel safe, so that they feel supported, and they can move on to that next thing and try something more difficult. You do that 1, 2, 3 times with somebody, and they're going to feel so empowered. They're going to learn these skills that they need to begin solving these problems for themselves. So that's a big deal. All right. I think that's all I'll say about that. Questions? This is where we'll open it up for Q&A. There's a chat bar. If you haven't seen that yet, you can go ahead and chat in. Also, this is a video call. I intentionally did this in a format where you all could voice your opinion. So you'll just have to unmute yourself, and you're welcome to verbalize any questions you have at this point as well. Questions for me, questions for Julie and Andrea, anything's fair game at this point. So we had one question that came in a couple minutes ago. Laura was asking projects as in a completed mission. Yeah, Laura, that is what I was talking about. So the context was a showcase event where they get to show off a project. It's really cool for them to get to show off their missions, which are essentially projects. Yeah. All right, any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, Julie.
Can you hear me? So I'm just curious what other folks are experiencing in terms of how many kids are coming to each of your sessions. So as I said, we're sort of averaging 8 to 12, even though we have 29 coders. But we are finding that after 4 to 6 coders, it's, as I said, it's really helpful to have a second facilitator available or in the room. And I'm just curious if other people are having that same experience.
Anybody want to weigh in on that?
I can help.
Yeah, Laura.
I have anywhere from 3 to 4 at each session. And those are my most dedicated kids. Those are the kids who really kind of have already dabbled in it themselves just by their own interests. I'm having a hard time getting kids that have the grit to stay with it. But when those kids come, they do need that extra hand holding. So yes, having 2 people is a must after, I would say almost 3 or 4, but our space is very public space. Like it's right in the middle of our library. So that could be an issue as well with people coming in and out and that sort of thing.
And Laura, do you have that second person to work with you right now?
Well, since our area is more in a public place, the library, the additional librarians that are on staff are readily invisible sight.
Yeah.
So they're at least able to control behavior. So that's helpful, but most of the time I'm kind of running around.
All right. I lost audio on that last part, but I don't know if that was just me or...
One of the things that we found, we actually, even though we were a separate computer room,
Yeah.
Laura, we actually had adults still like thinking they could like walk in the middle of it and just like plunk themselves down at a vacant computer or whatever. It's like, no, that's how we started the whole streamers thing.
Yeah.
Like we had streamers, Code Club in progress. It actually started out as a way to keep adults out who weren't interested in Code Club, who just thought, oh, I'm just going to go use the computer I always use instead of one in a different part of the library. But I'm wondering if you're in the middle space like that, if there's a way for you to stake out some kind of, ooh, there's a party going on over here. You know, this is coders.
We've started putting, is my audio back up? Or?
Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
We've started putting out a sign saying that all the computers are closed down at X time for Code Club. But we're lucky enough to have like a top floor, which is adult space only, and the bottom floor is kid space. So I've been doing it in the kid space, but it's like right in the middle of our nonfiction book, juvenile fiction books transition. So it's kind of a necessity to have that open space. It's like, it's very strange. I guess I'm trying to explain it, but it's not doing very well. But yeah, we are trying to separate it. We have a couple of single tables that people are welcome to sit in, and I've tried moving those away from the computer space to keep people from, you know, because we have board games and that sort of thing that are going on, and then we have kids who want to play Legos on the floor right next to somebody who's doing coding, so it's kind of a crazy atmosphere sometimes. So I've been trying different things, but that's a very good point to just kind of put up streamers and just make it, you know, a party atmosphere. Like, hey, if you want to be part of the party, you got to get on a computer and do that, do the stuff. So, but yeah, I'm going to continue to try a few different things, including what you guys have tried. So thank you for that information. It's always good to have a community. So.
Yeah, and I love that Julie is really intentional. She really wants the community amongst all of us facilitators. So the Facebook page is really the best place to make that happen. So don't be shy about posting in there, asking questions, putting up pictures, all of that stuff. Let's really use that Facebook page to build community. And let's try to use primarily the overall facilitator Facebook page as opposed to the IMLS grant Facebook page. The overall facilitator place will be able to tie in other facilitators and get other expertise in there as well. So that's really the better place to post things like that. Now, Julie, going back to your question, Michelle chatted in. She says, we have 6 to 8 every time. I would feel like I needed a second person also after about that many. Yeah, so she's saying 6+, she'd want a second person. And then Rachel just chatted in also, and she says, I had 12 last night for their second Code Club. Ran around like a crazy person, but I have 2 middle schoolers that graciously help the younger kids. Let's talk about that idea real quick, Rachel. That's a great point that you bring that up. For some of your Code Clubs, you have a really wide age range. You have like 8 to 18. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. What I found works really well is to kind of deputize the older kids, deputize the middle school or high schoolers and say, hey, you guys, would you mind being my helpers for Code Club? And give them the sign-off code so that they can help go and sign off the younger kids. They're still going to be learning how to code. You know, they're like when they're not doing anything, they're going to be there working through the stuff just like normal. But the older kids love having that kind of power and authority given to them that gives them even more purpose and reason to be there. And it like they'll keep coming back, and it gives you help to kind of facilitate that. So we've done that in our Code Club, and it's worked really well. I've talked to a lot of other people who've done that, and it's worked really well. That's just an idea. I'll throw that out there. Deputize the junior high or high school kids. to be your helpers. Okay. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. And we have 20 people each week. Woo woo! It's amazing. It's crazy. And she also says, I try to have an adult helping, and now we also have a high school volunteer helping as part of his community service. Nice. Yeah, this could be a great way to get more volunteers for the library in general. You know, you start deputizing these junior hires and high schoolers, and they're like, oh, I can do this? And they're like, what else do you guys do around here? Might be a good way to fill your volunteer pipeline. All right, Rachel, the Rice Krispie treats I gave them helped. Well, let's talk about snacks. Raise your hand or chat in if you're doing snacks as a part of Code Club. Julie says, no way. Veronica, no snacks. Kara, start off with snacks. All right, well, it looks like we're about half and half so far, snacks and no snacks. Just Halloween, yeah. Speaking of Halloween, I have these friends that they've got 4 kids, and they did Candy Palooza this year. So they brought out all of the Halloween candy, and they said, all right, you have 2 hours to eat as much candy as you can, and then it's all going away. So the kids just got sick on candy. I don't recommend that. I mean, I don't. My kid's only 1, so I didn't really have to deal with that. I just gave the older ones that helped me snacks, no snacks, no snacks. Okay. For some communities, it's become like a must. Like I know, I think it was Kara from Huachuca City, that snacks have been like a big draw for the kids in her community and the place that the kids are coming from after school. That they need a snack and they're not getting it anywhere else. So for them to come to the library and get a snack at the same time as Code Club is a big deal. So just think about that. That's something that we've seen as a really helpful thing for some communities. Okay. Talking about posting pictures, I need to get permission slips to the parents first. All right, so Rachel is saying posting pictures online, that she doesn't want to do that without getting permission slips from the parents. Yeah, absolutely. Julie, did you guys get permission slips?
Yeah, we have photo release forms for all of our library programs. So we just make sure that when the kids signed up, we just make sure we have a photo release for them, or we give them a form.
Okay, Rochelle says we do also. If you guys don't mind, would you post a copy of that photo release form so that maybe any librarians that don't have that could print something off real easily? I think that would be a helpful resource.
We can do that.
Cool. Other questions or topics? Here we go. Trina, one of our volunteers is a library board member, which has been really great as the board is really behind the project now. Cool. Let's talk about just community reception then. How's your community received it? Are people excited? Are parents excited? Are other local organizations interested in what you're doing?
What's the question? Oh, sorry. Is there a second question? So
there is a question for you, Julie. Let's hold off on that for a moment.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's all right. You're good. We'll let people kind of answer the community reception library board, friends of the library.
So for me, over at the Exeter branch, we got this in conjunction with another grant. We have a grant through the state that's we're building a makerspace. So we actually had focus groups that kind of geared towards what activities we're going to do. One of them was coding, and so that's why we applied for the grant. And so we actually had community members tell us that they wanted coding. So far, what we've done is, since we thought that we were going to get a big crowd, we haven't really gotten a huge crowd. We've had a lot of people say that's really interesting, that's really great, I'm glad that you're offering it. This is a good place to offer that type of technology, since we're not so there's not very much internet service or reliable internet service here and so on. But we haven't really had too many kids come in. I think the community reception has been fairly well, but as far as turnout, it hasn't been as well as what we've received it. What we received from the community. So that makes sense at all.
Yeah, let's talk about marketing in general. How are you guys getting people there? What have you seen work?
We have the posters, and it goes out on our email newsletter. And because we post it on Facebook, we're lucky our local newspaper actually follows us on Facebook. So they contacted us and said, oh, tell us about this cool grant you got. So that led to a big article in the newspaper that talked about it. And the other thing is that map is awesome. So if you haven't used that map to share with your board, especially, I don't know about other states, but in New Hampshire, all of our board members are residents of the community. So then they go out and tell everybody, print it off. I printed off copies of the map and said, look, this dot is us. We're the only one in New Hampshire, and posted that on the bulletin board, had it as a handout at the desk. So just market, because it really is a great honor. So we should all be telling everybody, look how cool your library is.
Yeah, those are good ideas. As you were talking, I pulled up a couple of the things that you mentioned. We've got the Code Club poster here. If you guys don't have one of these, get one. I can make one for you. Just let me know. And I've got one with your name on it. Additionally, she's talking about the local newspaper press release. Press release is a great way to get the general public aware of what you're doing. Here is a template for you. Take it, use it. It's got a great start to it. You probably only have to spend another 15 or 20 minutes on it to customize it and make it your own. You can find all of these at the startup packet, which I put the link in the chat bar. So feel free to check out those resources there. Rochelle said, I just used the press release for our newsletter this past month. Awesome. Love hearing that. Where do we get the map? Trina, I'm going to post, in fact, Eric posted the link. I'm going to take his short link, and I'm going to post it in again right there. So there's the link. Other ideas for marketing? What else have you guys seen work?
We also have a sandwich board out front. I don't know if anybody else does. That's sort of the super easy way to just say, hey, Code Club is tomorrow at 4 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've seen people print off stacks of these and go take them around to the schools in the area, elementary, junior high, high schools. That has worked, so feel free to do that.
Yeah, we've done the press release. We have a really good relationship with our district technology coach. So I've emailed her, and they put it out all the schools. We post it on Facebook. We usually get a really good turnout whenever we post anything on Facebook. We have a good following there. We've had it all over the library. So yeah, we're trying to put it out there, but we'll keep on going, seeing if we can get more. But those are good.
Cool.
Good suggestions so far.
Cool. I'm gonna scrolling back up. Rochelle said the newspaper's coming out to do a story, which is awesome. We talked about the press release, and then she was asked to present to the school board in December, which is cool too, to get in front of that audience. And a cable news channel apparently put the poster on their channel. There you go. You never know. Jackie, I made the mistake of telling our school's after-school program director about Code Club, and they want us to go to the school every week and have Code Club there. I don't know if that's a mistake. That sounds awesome. It'll take more time and energy from you guys for sure, but let's talk about that. Jackie, maybe you and I one-on-one can talk about that afterwards and see if there's a good opportunity for a partnership at the local school. There was a question for Julie specifically somewhere up here. Julie, here we go. Julie, how are you marketing the instruction sheet to the community so the kids see it? I don't know if we maybe answered that question already in kind of the sandwich board.
We give it out at Code Club.
Yeah.
So when we let them take them home, so we make lots of copies so they can take it home, mostly just so they still have the web address, because we have some coders who actually like to keep going at home and just share what they did when they come in and keep going with us once a week. But it's really the instruction sheet that we use at Code Club itself. So it's not like something that we're marketing to take out.
Yeah, it's like a getting started handout. It looks something like this, and it's made so that when they come, they know what to do to get started. And you guys are welcome to take this, make a copy to your own Google Drive, fill in your library information, and it helps them get started quicker. All right. All right, so Rochelle's saying we are having current members bring a friend next month to get more interest stirred up. Yeah, bringing a friend is a cool idea. Show and tells are a great time to bring a friend, or if you're doing a specific day when they can bring a friend, it's cool to give at least a little bit of time at the end so the new people can see, wow, they're making these kinds of things. This is awesome. So that's one way to capitalize on that. Right before that, Laura says, I have a teacher of gifted students doing Lego League and with her kids and knows nothing about coding. She wants to learn through the program on her own. Yeah, Laura, if she wants to do that, that's awesome. I can give her like a demo account, or she can just sign up for an account under your library, and you can give her the sign-off code, and she can kind of noodle through there. I've also got just a video that walks through the software, so if she's just looking to see what the software looks like, she can check that out. But if she actually wants to learn how to code, I don't see any reason why to not give her a account. Cool. Rachel, does everyone tell the kids they can do it at home, and how do you sign off on things if they are doing it at home? Great question. I always tell my kids they can do it at home. I want them working on it at home if they're really interested and excited. I find that most don't. Most are only going to work on it at Code Club. They need that like dedicated time and space with their friends to work on it. But what will happen is, if they're working on it at home, they can have a whole bunch of stuff that they can do without getting signed off. And then when they come back to Code Club next time, they can either show me what they did, or if they can't show me what they did because they did it on another computer and it didn't save or whatever, I just take their word for it. I'm not too concerned with like verifying that some kid's not ripping me off or anything. I just don't think that's the point of Code Club. Anybody else have feedback for that question that you want to give?
That's what we do. We just tell them to come in, and if they don't have something to show us, they could send us a screenshot if they want. But if they don't have something to show us, they just tell us about it. And sometimes they want to recreate it. Sometimes it was really cool, and it's like, if you want to recreate it, we'll put you on the big screen for, to show everybody what you did when you were at home. And we've had a couple of kids at home who were younger than 8 and really needed the parent for helping with the reading part. And they really picked up the technology part really well. So some of those have chosen to do some stuff at home and then come in and share it rather than doing it. But anyway, that's what we do.
Yeah, totally. Rachel says, I'm afraid they will keep doing it at home. It won't come back to the library. Yeah, that's a great point. So here's the deal. We believe that this is the best model for kids to learn how to code. There is something about human nature that if we are just trying to learn something at home, we are going to lose interest. We're going to get stuck and not know where to go. And so we really need the community to learn how to code. We really need our peers there, and we need a cheerleading, mentoring, and facilitating adult in the room too. We need this learning model if we're going to learn how to do this effectively. So for the kids that don't buy into that, they don't see the value in that, and they just want to do it at home, they're welcome to do that. You can give their parents the sign-off code. They're welcome to do that. But ultimately, I believe that the kids who are serious about coding, they really take ownership over this process, they're going to come back time and time again because this is the best place to learn how to do it. They're making friends. They're having fun. They're laughing. They're doing goofy stuff. So this is a positive place for them to be. It's not school. It's not a task. It's not a chore. So if they don't get that, if that's just not jiving with them, I have no problem just giving them or their parents a sign-off code and letting them do it at home. I don't think they will do it at home, if I'm honest. They may do it for a week or two, but I don't think they will without the support of the community and you guys, the facilitator. So yeah, I think that's how I'll answer that question. For time's sake, I think I'm just going to say some final things and let you guys go on with your day. We are finishing up fall here, right? We're in middle of November. We've got most library programming. I assume you guys will all follow this. You'll take a break around December and January. Every time you take a break, think about doing a showcase event, a show and tell right before that as your last code club. We already talked about that. Additionally, when you start back up, that's another great time to do a marketing push. So when you start back up in January or February or whenever your new programming kicks off, that's a great time to do a marketing push and to say, hey, we're launching the new session of Code Club, the new season of Code Club, and you do just a fresh push of getting the word out there, dropping off stuff at the schools, reaching out to the local media, all email blasts, social media pushes, all of that stuff. Great time to re-up and get the word out about that again. So take your break, enjoy your break, have a great holiday season, but then come back and be ready to go for another season. I'd say the next logical time frame to run kind of your new spring season would be whenever you start programming in January or February and do it clear through until your summer reading. Your last code club before you start summer reading is another good time for a show and tell event or a showcase event. And then do Code Club for summer reading. I know you guys are thinking of that now. So do Code Club as part of your summer reading program. Why not? We did it last year. What we did last year is we actually created special missions, special project outlines that fit with the summer reading theme. Last year was Libraries Rock. That's why you see a bunch of rock and roll projects in there. And we'll do the same thing this year. So I haven't looked to see what the theme is. Does anybody know what this year's theme is?
Universe of stories.
Universe of stories. Ooh, they're always so vague. Last year was Libraries Rock, and I was like, do we make geology missions or rock and roll? I don't know. So we chose rock and roll. Susan, showtime at your library. Oh, you guys are doing your own thing. Awesome. So yeah, whatever that is, we'll have projects. Do it for summer reading. Plan on doing that. Somebody asked how long the grant lasts. It is a year from when you started. The grant covers 1 year of Code Club. So 1 year from whenever you did your first Code Club, the grant will last. So it's never too early to start thinking about what are you going to do after this. Sustainability is one of the things we're trying to figure out as a part of this grant. So let's have conversations as we go about where to find funding for this to continue it afterwards. Maybe that's a good topic for our next webinar, actually. Somebody asked how much it is to continue. It's all the pricing is based on your exact population size. So I'm not going to throw something out over this video call, but just reach out to me and we can figure it out for your exact location. Curious how many libraries started in the fall. Good question, Rachel. We had 20 start in the fall, and that leaves 30 for the spring. Okay, we had like 23 originally that were planning on starting in the fall, but a couple of them had to push it out. In our community, we've had 2 libraries that were part of hurricanes and floods, and so keep them in your thoughts and prayers as we move forward. They're still rebuilding and kind of getting their stuff back up and running, but we are want to support them as part of our Code Club family as well. With that said, I'll let you guys go about your day. This is recorded. I'll be sending out the recording to everybody. But thank you. Thanks for being a part of the Code Club family. And as always, build something awesome. You guys are doing great work, and it's an honor to get to run alongside of you in this season. So thanks, and have a great afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Thank you, Julie and Andrea, especially big shout out to Jaffrey. Thanks, Rochelle. Maybe I just look like a Jake. I don't know. That's all right. I'll show all of the rest of you. Check out my awesome mug if you haven't seen this before. This is the kind of thing we do at Prinda. We just make clever stuff. I had a bunch of them. If I had any left, I would give them to you, but this is my last one. And I don't know if you want my used mug. Oh, got it. Got it, Rochelle. You guys are awesome. Have a great day. I'm cutting it off here.